everyone. Welcome to Mental Health Bites. In this podcast, we'll cover a timely topic related to psychology. I'll answer one of your burning questions and give you a practical tip to improve your mental health every single day. Let's jump right in to the timely topic of the day. Have you heard of revenge bedtime procrastination? Well, this is a trend that's been making the rounds on social media, but from a much deeper perspective, revenge bedtime procrastination is a habit of staying up late on purpose, even when you're exhausted. And subconsciously, you probably know that it's actually wreaking havoc on your nervous system and contributing to more feelings of burnout, fatigue, and possible mental health concerns. This is something that so many of us do. But what if I told you that it's not just a bad habit? It's actually a nervous system issue, like I alluded to just now. In today's episode, I'll explain why your brain and body resists sleep, how stress hijacks your sleep cycle, and what you can do to retrain your nervous system so you can actually get the rest you need. Plus, I'll answer a listener question about breaking this cycle and give you a practical step-by-step method to fix your nighttime routine without losing your precious me time. Sound good? Let's get to it. So, what is revenge bedtime procrastination? You know the feeling. I know the feeling. You should be sleeping. You want to be sleeping, but instead you're watching one more episode of your favorite show, scrolling one more post, or telling yourself just 5 more minutes until suddenly it's 2 a.m. and you have to wake up in a few hours. Trust me, I am not preaching to you from an ivory tower of any sort because I do this too. At night, it's finally my me time. And so this is when I catch up on my favorite shows. Right now, that favorite show for me is the show Severance. And yeah, I will watch the episode and then I'll watch a couple of YouTubers talk about the episode. And before you know it, I've burned over an hour in bed because I wanted that precious me time, but now it's robbing me of my precious sleep. So this phenomenon that I just described, and if this sounds familiar to you, is called revenge bedtime procrastination. This is actually a term that originally came from China, and in Chinese, it's called 报复型熬夜. And as a native speaker, I can tell you that that is literally a direct translation of the English term. Revenge bedtime procrastination is essentially a sense of a retaliatory staying up late. It became popular because people, especially those in high stress jobs or busy routines, felt like they had no control over their day. So they quote unquote took revenge at night by staying up late, even though they knew that it wasn't good for them. We often blame ourselves when we procrastinate on sleep, thinking maybe I just need better habits, I should have more willpower, etc. But here's the truth. This isn't just about habits. This is actually about your nervous system after a super busy, stressful day being stuck in a dysregulated state. When we go through our day under chronic stress, whether from work, family responsibilities, emotional stress, or just the chaos of our modern lives, our nervous system doesn't get a chance to fully power down. So instead of smoothly shifting from alertness to rest, we get trapped in the cycle of a high alert mode or hyper arousal. And that makes it incredibly difficult to sleep. I remember the time when I was teaching the late evening master's program at Pepperdine, and our classes for these master's students were 7 to 10 p.m. at night. So by the time that I got home from a 10 p.m. ending class, it was already 11 p.m. And there was no way that I could just power down and go to sleep right away. It was literally like another hour of just trying to wind down. And I know that most of you guys who have been through a late night of working, or maybe on a weeknight after working, you go to a social event or a work party, it takes time to wind down from that. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And this actually happens because of three major brain and body mechanisms. The first is cortisol and adrenaline overload. When you're under stress all day, your body keeps releasing cortisol and adrenaline around the clock. And these are your primary stress hormones. Normally, these should drop in the evening to help you relax. But if you don't have time to unwind properly, these chemicals stay elevated and make you feel wired at bedtime, even when you're exhausted. The second of these mechanisms is called the prefrontal cortex shutdown. Your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical decision making part of your brain, it gets hijacked by your limbic system, which is the seat of your emotional responses. That's why at night, when you should be making rational choices like go to bed a little earlier, your brain instead says, hey, let's just watch one more episode of that show. And as I mentioned, it kind of feels good temporarily. It's that me time you were craving all day. But the problem is because your limbic system is in more control, it's making an emotional decision. It's saying, hey, it's not such a bad idea to watch two, three, or even four of these episodes instead of just stopping at the one, which is a decision that your prefrontal cortex would make if it was in charge. The third of these mechanisms is the threat mode factor. For many people, work stress, emotional exhaustion, or even a subconscious feeling of not having enough free time can keep their nervous system in a state of perceived threat. Essentially, you're in chronic fight or flight. The body interprets bedtime as losing control rather than an opportunity for relaxation and repair. We know that you need sleep to physically and mentally repair yourself. So instead of allowing your body to shut down, the brain resists sleep as if it's avoiding some type of danger. So now you might be thinking, okay, but does staying up late really hurt me that much? Some of you guys might even say, well, I have that superpower where I don't really need a lot of sleep and I can still pretty much function throughout the day. But actually, the answer is yes. If you're missing out on quality sleep, it does affect your long term health. Here's what some of the research says: chronic sleep deprivation increases your risk of anxiety and depression by up to 48%. People who sleep less than 6 hours a night are at 30% higher risk of heart disease. And finally, a 2023 study in sleep health found that bedtime procrastinators have worse emotional regulation and higher impulsivity levels than those with consistent sleep schedules. And if you're thinking, maybe I'm the only one who struggles with this, think again. Even public figures and celebrities commonly fall into this trap and they talk about it. Arianna Huffington, who literally built an empire on wellness, used to push herself so hard that she collapsed from exhaustion and broke her cheekbone. That was a wake up call that led her to focus on sleep health. Billie Eilish, the musician, has talked about how she struggles with staying up late, saying that her mind fights against rest, even though she knows she should be sleeping. Mindfulness expert Jay Shetty has also spoken about his own struggles with sleep procrastination, despite knowing all the science behind it and teaching it. So, as you can see, this isn't a lack of willpower. It's a biological and psychological response that so many of us are experiencing. And that's why it's so important to understand how to fix it. Now, let's move on to the Q&A segment of the day. Today's listener question comes from George in Alaska. And George says, hey, Dr. Judy, I know that revenge bedtime procrastination is bad for me, but honestly, it's the only time I feel like I have to myself. I work all day. I take care of my kids. By the time it's bedtime, I just want some peace. How do I stop without feeling like I'm losing my me time? George, I hear you. This is a great question, and it's exactly why so many people struggle to change this. Your brain craves that time for yourself, but the key is to reclaim that time earlier in the day so that you're not sacrificing sleep. So here are some tips. First, try to get a micro moment or some micro moments of autonomy. Even 10-minute breaks during the day help signal to your brain that it doesn't have to fight for freedom at night. So you can try to sneak in a YouTube video you really like, or even watch a segment of your favorite TV show earlier during the day. Second, power down rituals. Setting a routine that feels rewarding will make sleep feel like an act of self-care rather than a punishment. So listen for the practical tip of the day because I'm going to explain to you exactly how we're going to do this. And finally, try some somatic release techniques. Practices like progressive muscle relaxation or even humming can help reset your nervous system so you don't feel so wired at bedtime. I have a whole set of these types of exercises in my book, The New Rules of Attachment. So check that out if you need some more somatic release techniques.